Welcome back to the shop. Well, it only took a little more than 30 years, but I finally have a true woodworking bench in the shop. 2 vices, bench dogs, solid maple top, tool tray. I ended up trading with Jeff from Green Street Joinery, my armor tool table, for this bench. And if you didn't know, Jeff and I have a podcast that comes out every Friday morning. It's the American Craftsmen podcast. And we also have a channel called Today's Craftsmen. And I'll have links to both of those down in the description below. One of the cool things about this bench is not only is it a great woodworking bench, but I partnered with Smart Castors to kind of help me get the bench in the shop because I'm going to need to be able to move it around. Now, this isn't a paid spot, but they did send me the casters, and I do have an affiliate link, and I'll have links, or that link down in the description. So what are Smart Castors? They retract when the table is in its position, and then they come out when you lift the table up. So like here, now the casters are extended. I'll come over to the other side, and now I can move this table around. And that's really important in a small shop like this because whether I need to rip something on the Powermatic, I want to move the bikes out of the way, or take the bike for a bike ride, or get to the bench over here, or this storage cabinet, I can move this bench. So really cool. We'll take a close look at the casters, and I'll show you how I installed them and how they work. And then we'll take a close look at the bench and show you why I think it's really going to help me out making fine furniture in the shop. Right now, the casters are in the down position, and all the weight of the bench is resting on the casters. I'll lift the bench up. Now they've retracted. Go over to the other side and do the same thing. Now the bench is resting on the legs of the bench. Your casters are going to come with this clip, and that keeps the caster in the locked position. And you want to make sure that your wheel is just a little higher than your bench. So you can see I can still move this around. So for this bench, I added a little rubber spacer, and you'll attach the casters. I used the screws that are provided. You could also use through bolts, but as you can see, most of the bench weight is actually resting on the steel caster, distributed right down the shaft to the wheel. When I attached the casters, I turned the bench upside down, attached the casters to the legs, and made sure to not remove the locking clip until the bench was back on its feet. Once the bench was in its normal position, I removed all the clips and then picked up the bench, and you can see how the casters extend. So as you can see, the casters are really cool. So I wanted to take a little time. Maybe it's something you can use in your shop. They're made right here in America. So I'm always happy to see things made in the US. So now we'll take a close look at the bench. Jeff has customized this bench a little bit. He made this cabinet. He's extended the bench, made these bench dogs. So we'll take a close look at it, and I'll show you why I think it's going to be such a valuable tool here in the shop. If you've watched any of my furniture projects, you've probably seen me shape legs using this hand plane. And usually I'll come up with some kind of a jig to hold the material in place. But in this case, I can just extend one of the bench dogs, extend the bench dog in the vise, and lock it down. And now I've got a nice solid work surface. The piece is held in place. And I can get those nice shavings. And there's just something nice about working comfortably. In the past, if I was going to cut dovetails or mortise and hinges, I would use this jig, clamp the jig to my workbench, which is also my outfeed table, which isn't the most convenient thing. And I would use this as a place to work. Now I've got this nice vise here, and it's the kind of thing that might inspire me to cut more dovetails, just because it's nice to kind of lock that piece in place, bring out a nice Lee Nelson dovetail saw. Makes you want to cut dovetails. The bench has this nice tool tray. Jeff extended the bench with this, looks like a piece of 6/4 maple that's through bolted to the solid maple bench. Jeff built this cabinet in the front, really nice quarter sawn, looks like it's highly figured white oak. It really does make me want to clean this up a little bit. But he's got these dividers here that he 3D printed. And let's see, if I take these out, there's a stop in this drawer because I think he accidentally pulled this drawer out a few times and all the screws that were in here ended up all over the shop floor. So this is one of those deals where it's like a little butterfly. You take that out and then that'll keep the drawer from pulling all the way out. Wood on wood, I always like wood on wood drawer slides. Let me make sure that I put that butterfly in the right position. I'm probably going to put all of my Power Pro screws in here, and I think where I have that screw cabinet, I'm going to end up putting a painting, one of my stars probably. Oh, look at that, an extra dog. So I'll try to organize these drawers so they don't become just a catch-all for everything. Really nice hinges. It's kind of a special hinge there. An adjustable shelf. And definitely a nice addition to this workbench. Over here we've got another little bit of a tool storage. This is a box that I guess Jeff made, and it's just screwed to the side of the cabinet. And one of the nice things about this being on wheels, and now this can be a little tricky. You might not be able to see it, but the floor back here is about 3 inches higher than the floor in the rest of the shop. So sometimes if I want to really move the bench out of the way, the idea is to get it over this hump here. Now, in this case, the wheels are going to retract, so I'm going to have to pick it up again. Now they're set. And I should be able to. The trick with these wheels is you want to keep the cabinet level so the wheels are always engaging at the same time. So there we go. I can move this all the way against this other bench to get it as far out of the way as possible. All right, well there it is. New addition to the shop, pretty cool. Let me know if you'd like to see some hand-cut joinery projects. I haven't done many of those in a long time, but I'd like to do one again. I think you just kind of have to glaze over a lot of the joinery because it does take a long time. So a little bit in the beginning of the joint and maybe a little bit at the end of the joint. But I really do appreciate hand-cut joinery furniture projects. I can see some shaker-inspired benches, something like that, something simple and clean. That's kind of my aesthetic. Another reminder, if you want to check out those casters, I'll have a link to the smart casters in the description below. I hope that you'll check out our podcast. We kind of go over the projects that I'm working on in this shop and around my house and what Jeff is working on in his 5,000 square foot professional cabinet shop. So it's kind of a nice mixture of, I wouldn't say DIY, but kind of small home shop to professional cabinet shop. And the podcast is just a lot of fun to listen to. As always, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.